Hi, welcome back to the Biblical Preaching Podcast. And in this bite-sized episode, I want to share with you 10 thoughts on preaching at a special occasion. Okay, so it could be a wedding, it could be a funeral, it could be a baby dedication, it could be the opening of a building, whatever opportunity you get to speak as a preacher. If it's not a normal Sunday and not a normal event, then these are thoughts that you need to take on board. You may agree or disagree. You may have other thoughts. Please do let me know. But here's 10 thoughts. Number 1, it isn't about you. Okay, if it's a wedding, it's about the couple. If it's a funeral, it's about the deceased and the family. Whatever the occasion is, it isn't about you, right? You're not the focus of it. And actually, even if you were, even if this is, you've been invited to preach at your own ordination, I don't know, or your retirement from a church, whatever it is, don't make it about yourself. When you're preaching, make it a loving act of service to those people who are the focus and make sure that God is getting the honor. So number 1, it isn't about you. Number 2, it isn't the time to be clever. Now, you might have lots of creative ideas. You might be really excited to preach in character, in costume. Save it. Okay, that's not the right thing to be doing at a wedding or at a funeral, at a special occasion that we're talking about, because it's going to distract people. It's going to detract from the occasion. It's going to look as if you're trying to make it about yourself. And so be creative in your preaching, but perhaps more so in your normal preaching, not on a special occasion. Number 3, it is time to communicate the gospel gently. I want to add the word gently, but I could add the word clearly as well. I could add the word boldly, but I don't want to add the word excessively. Okay, I don't want it to be preached with too much force, because you can end up kind of doing more harm than good. People are not coming to the special occasion in order to feel pressured, but they are coming, and it is an opportunity to share the gospel. So we don't want to hold back from that. But think about how you can do it in a way that is gentle, that is appropriate, that is loving. We don't want to have a negative impact, but we do want to share the gospel. We do want to point people to Jesus, and to do it in a way that is winsome, in a way that is attractive, magnetic. And so pray about it. That's probably the most significant thing I'm going to say. Really wrestle with, how can I preach the gospel appropriately for this occasion? Number 4, your regulars do not need originality. So let's say that you preach to the same people week after week, and then a special event comes along, a funeral, something you're not expecting. You don't have to be original. Maybe you've only had 24 hours to prepare. You're feeling the pressure. It's okay to reuse something that you did recently, not necessarily the whole thing. You want to personalize it to the occasion, but if you're preaching a passage again or using an illustration again, don't worry about it. They'll understand what you're doing. Don't apologize for it. Don't, beat yourself up trying to generate ultimate originality. The goal is to preach faithfully and effectively, and especially for guests, for family members, for people that aren't normally there. And if there's a percentage of the room that are always there, they'll be praying for you. They'll understand. So don't worry about being original for their sake. Number 5, don't come across as a sales pitch. Okay, when you do that, you sort of sound like you've said everything else in order to say this bit. And it sort of comes across, towards the end of the service. Hey, remember, we're here every week, and, we have pizza this Sunday, and you're very welcome, and a special gift if you come after the funeral today. And, don't do that. Just a very subtle mention of the church, a point of connection between the people who were there and the sense that they would be welcome to come back. But don't overdo it. Don't make it sound like an infomercial. Don't start telling them about all the things the church does and all the reasons they should return. It can kind of sound like you're only preaching in order to give the advertising. Let's not have that. So don't come across like a sales pitch. Number 6, Graciously demonstrate that this is not a service for hire. If you've been asked to take a funeral, people might be there assuming that you're taking the funeral because you're going to be paid some amount of money for doing so. A bit like undertakers, very formal, very serious, doing their job, but then they're going to go and do another one, and then another one, and then another one, and it's their job. It's what they do. But when somebody is having a funeral in your church, when somebody is visiting as a guest to attend a funeral, a wedding, whatever, it's an opportunity to graciously show that you actually care. And so you can personalize what you're saying. You can reflect on your connection with the person if you had one, or your time with the family. Whatever way you can do it, show some humanness in the way that you preach, so it doesn't sound like kind of a script that you use in order to be paid for the service you provide. Okay, so whether you do one funeral once in a great while, or whether you're regularly preaching at them, it's still possible to demonstrate that personal touch, that sense of care and concern for those who are present, the warmth. Connected to that, number 7, personalize where you can. Know what you can say about the people involved. If it's a couple that you're marrying, maybe you've spent time with them in premarital interactions. You can share that. Don't share secrets or embarrass them, but share that you know them, you care about them. Maybe you've known them for years. Maybe you've known them since they were children. Just very warmly, with love, personalize. You're preaching at a funeral and you knew the person. The people who are coming may not realize that. And so personalize in whatever way you can. Actually, if there's a special occasion and the person who is kind of the focus, maybe the couple, maybe the family or whatever, maybe you could even ask them, is there a specific passage? Is there something that you would appreciate? And if you can, work that into what you're saying. I remember doing a baptism once for somebody who I asked that question. I said, do you have a favorite Bible passage? And they said, Book of James. It wasn't really what I would have chosen, but for the sake of that person, I preached from the Book of James so that they could be set up for conversations they would be having with their friends, their colleagues, their connections after the event. Number 8, recognize the uniqueness of the occasion. Now, some of us are very rarely called upon. Others of us maybe do plenty of weddings or funerals. But this is a special occasion, right? The definition for the people involved, for the family involved, for the guests that are coming, they don't go to a funeral week by week. They don't attend a wedding all the time. So for them, this is special. This is their loved ones, their family, their friends. And so don't come across like, oh, this is my 7th wedding this summer. That doesn't help anything. Try to see it as the high point of their lives, the moment that they've been longing for and waiting for and dreaming for years, and you have the privilege of preaching God's word in that context. So don't be generic. Okay, don't just sort of roll out the standard wedding message, no matter who they are, a young couple, an elderly couple. No, try to personalize it. Try to reflect the uniqueness of the occasion. Not every funeral is the same. An elderly saint who's been promoted to glory is going to be very different than a difficult person who nobody really appreciated. Or a young person whose life was taken in an accident. There's a uniqueness to each occasion, and in your preaching, try to reflect that. Number 9, watch the length of the sermon. If you normally preach on a Sunday for 30, 40, 45 minutes, that's probably not going to go well in a special event. And so you need to kind of rein it in. At the same time, you can't just go for the length that people are expecting, because some people aren't expecting anything. And so it's not the solution to just say, right, I'm going to just go 3 minutes. But, be appropriate. Find out what makes sense. See what's going to be fitting for the occasion, And then do your best to keep people's attention, to be interesting, to personalize it, to make it warm, so that for the 10, 12, 15 minutes that you're preaching, whatever is appropriate, and it may be shorter, sometimes it may be a little bit longer, but what you're doing there, we want them listening and appreciating it, not checking their watches and wishing you'd finish. Okay, so watch the length of the sermon. And then number 10, last thought for this video, undermine expectations wisely. The guests, may be coming to this event expecting you to be boring. Don't be. They may expect you to be cold, be warm. They may expect you to be unfriendly, be friendly. They may expect you to be formal, be appropriately informal. And I say appropriately because the point here is not to shock people. It's not to kind of stun people with the clown show that was the sermon. No, the point is to get the gospel across. And if you can undermine their expectations, where they're expecting it to be irrelevant and it turns out to feel very relevant, they're expecting it to be impersonal, and the way you do it makes it profoundly personal, it's all going to help underline the significance of what you're saying. It's probably not going to be an occasion that kicks off a revival. People need to hear the gospel on multiple occasions, but a well-handled special occasion is an amazing opportunity to present the truth of the gospel in a way that lands in the hearts of people who normally wouldn't be anywhere near a church building. So there you go, 10 thoughts. What would you add? I'm sure that I've missed things. I'm sure there's more that could be said. What would you add to that list? Feel free to comment under the video if you're on YouTube or whatever platform you're watching or listening to this on. Feel free to comment and chip in. We would love to benefit from each other's thoughts. Just as we finish, Romans chapter 1, very famous, kind of the big idea of the book of Romans. Paul says, I am not ashamed of the gospel, for it is the power of God for the salvation of everyone who believes, the Jew first and also the Greek. I'm not ashamed of the gospel. What an amazing opportunity we get, whether it's a wedding, whether it's a funeral, a happy occasion, a sad occasion, a special occasion is a unique opportunity to not be ashamed of the gospel, but to trust God instead, to use it to make a difference in people's lives. Thank you for being part of this episode. Thank you for watching, listening, commenting, liking, all the things that you can do to share this with others. Next time you preach at a special occasion, hopefully these thoughts can make a difference. Hopefully they can be helpful, and confidently we can proclaim Jesus, knowing that he changes lives. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening to the Biblical Preaching Podcast.
Thanks for joining us today. We really appreciate every positive review, like, share, and comment. And thank you for praying for us. We hope you will join us again next time on the Biblical Preaching Podcast.